Hello guys, this is another video for Bizarro Underground progress, and it's been a long, maybe at least a month, and I thought I was losing getting in touch with this project, because first of all, yeah, I was in holidays, then I came back, then I had other things in the plan. I'm lost between. I'm fragmented between some other projects now. Some of them are not so important, others. Now, the only important is that, yeah, I might be working on some demos in demo outside of 3D or for another platform. And with some other people. And I might visit assembly party this August. And most probably we finish it. So this is maybe a month. Okay, this is okay in 2 months. So I have been focusing more on that one. I haven't been doing any work for this one. Then sometimes I was working on some modern 3D engine software render on PC. I was posting something on Twitter about some other thing. That was a side thing and I left it now. I was doing some side stuff and I have another thing I have to do by the end of August. It's not so big. It's writing an article about some demos and stuff related, not 3D but something else. So I left. I realized that I left this project, but now yesterday, Sunday and Saturday, I drop into it and try to do another big part of it, which is, and it's still something that has needs work. It is. I tried to implement texture loading, and I needed to do a little bit of changes, but not much. And I will need to tweak the distance where the textures are going more lower. So let's see if this is far enough. This is not far enough. You could see this wall. It's so seamless that you don't see it. Let's go to some other wall. But far away I'm switching to smaller textures. You might have seen the switch here. Okay, it's not so nice here. It's more seamless. Maybe it's easier to the next one. And the reason I wanted to do is a lot of quads that are far away. I wanted them to not be 32 by 32, be 16 by 16 and 8 by 8. Yeah, look at that flower there. But to make it more obvious, I'm gonna go crazy with this and reduce the sizes, the average Z I calculated, so that I also use that for sorting the polygons. That code goes sorted here. And I'm going to optimize this bit. I'm going to rewrite it in a different way. This is now just a test. And I'm calling different code for 32 by 32 bitmap, 16 by 16 and 8 by 8. And now you might say, okay, maybe put the second level. So I made it ridiculous so that you can see. You see how it's popping. This is the 8 by 8, 16 by 16, 32 by 32. Yeah, do the gems, the red gems. 8 by 8, 16 by 16. So we do have a loading system. Let's make it even more ridiculous. Oh my god, that's very ridiculous. Okay. But I found some nice numbers. That seems to be just on the spot. And there are, first of all, the thing I did, I used to load these textures, cell files for the quad text. I'm only doing this in the quad text. I'm not doing it for the web or for other things. It's mostly there that I care for now. And there is a different loop when I render the grid, the 3D grid, than when I render the regular one. Yeah, even there, like for example, this logic, replace transform grid mesh cells. And here, it's a bit of duplication, but I prefer it like this. Because I don't want to run a common function that will select, is it a grid mesh, is it the other mesh? And also here, prefer transform mesh, this is the regular. This one will read the 3 points, because this is supporting triangles. Even if we have quads and triangles really is 2 points squeezed together. But I have some 3D meshes that use triangles. Usually the flat shaded stuff, the ones that don't have a real texture. So I used to have in this poly data number of points. Is it 3 or 4? Is it 3? Okay. Is it 4? Get the fourth one. Is it 3? Set the fourth one as the third one. So I have some extra things, and at some point I decided, because I'm rendering a lot of quads for the grid mesh cell, and this is the heaviest, it's the whole map that is, or even the visible quads, and I have to go through everything and see if it's inside or outside the view and sort it. And here, I read everything. So I separate this, so I can exclusively work, and I have specialized cell code render functions that it knows that it's 32 by 32, so it doesn't need the extra information to shift some vectors when I create the cell. So this is even faster, but I have some plans about this, I will tell you. Now all I need is, depending on the Z, I also have the load index 0, 1, 2, so that I have the block texture load index. The texture ID from the will select which of the indices, like here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 0. It starts from 0 probably. And the load index I added now, and I have something I need to change to get the cell for this texture, and that texture I expanded it. I will tell you about that. So that I hold the pre-0 and the pre-1. These are the preambles of the cell when I was loading or creating it. so that I very fast copy the one that could be the 32 by 32, 16 by 16, 8 by 8. These are information that have to do with the width and the height. And normally it takes more to regenerate them. So to gain time, I store them to update. And I update the texture bitmap from the load index ID. So I try to make it as simple as possible here. However, I have planned with this, I'll tell you. But let's go back here. Initially, well, those are the text ones, but I had this block. Initially, it used to be that block text. There wasn't the three. These are the load level, and I would load somewhere at the end. I would pass a pointer, texture pointer. Now this is like a double pointer now, of course. And now this is for the loading. I pass the pointer 0 so that I load all this texture at the position 0. So later it will be like 0 texture index, and that will be load index. But initially I do what I did before. It goes a bit deep. Let's see. I have the edit mode on. Where is? Probably here. My god, it goes deep. Because this is the only... No, no, no. Why I missed the load? Okay, let's go back. Ah, I'm doing it here. Here is where I pass it later. I pass this pointer of a... This might be a texture pointer, but it's an array of textures. Multiple textures. Here I do it, come on. Only for 0, I need grid map data. This is where I'm loading it, and then I generate the grid map texture loads. And this is gonna load the text. This is what I did before. I'm passing the text file, and now I'm passing all the textures for all the levels. Later I might have, if some level use specific text, I might do something different. I'll see how I'll do it. So that I don't load all the texture for everything. Yeah, this is the array of the paths. And I use the load cell from the 3DO libraries. I don't use my own. Load it in a temp cell, and I set up the texture with the width, the height, and so on. And I might copy. Yeah, I have my own thing, texture, so that I can control it. That used to have it used to have the type. I wanted to know if it's palletized pack, and I don't know if I use this two-sided in Blend. It was part of the previous design. I need the width height. These are the bit shifts for the width and the height, so I want to prepare it in the beginning, the bits per pixel. I might use it. And this is something I added now. I decided to store also the preamble 0 and preamble 1 of the generated cell, so that I don't have to recreate it. When I switch to a different texture and I will read the different bitmap, I will just copy the pre 0 and pre 1. I don't have to give the width and height and have it generate Because normally in cell helpers I have functions. I say in this cell width, here is the width, and it's going to calculate the pre0, pre1 depending on the BBB, depending, and that's a lot of things to call these things all the time. Initially, I did the first prototype was using that. It wasn't that bad, but I decided, okay, let's store this thing to refer to them directly. Everything else is things I don't even know if I used that in this for feedback textures, but maybe I was planning something. So when I load, these things will be happening like they used to happen before, and now where is it? I need grid map texture. And the only difference is, and I did it all on 0 load index 0, and then I have to create load index 1 and 2, and then I just did a lousy. I go from 1 to 3 and say, okay, the block text 1 now is generated from block text 0. So I get the block text 0, that is 32 by 32, and I'm going to divide it by half and so on. Now I do it in a lousy way. And all I do, I set up the texture. I have a new texture, source texture, destination texture. Now I allocate, this is doing it for all the, I pass the num texture, all these textures, like 18 texture, however they were. So it generates again an array of several textures. It does a malloc on this. And I give half of the previous source texture with divide by half height. Pass the same b. This is the b. I pass null for bitmap so that it creates new memory for bitmap. But for pal I just pass the pal. It's the same pal. And I store it on the destination texture. And now this is where I go pixel by pixel. Now I did some lousy thing because for now it's a bit lousy. It doesn't matter. It's in the initialization. It's not slow. I did a write pixel and read pixel because I tried to do it on a single loop and I realized it was a bit tedious because right now the grid textures can be different bits depth. We have 4 bits and we have 8 bits. So most of these texture are 4 bits, 16 colors. Most of these gems and everything and walls. But this particular one, because of the 3 different, when I try to do it with 16 colors, the 3DO gems and the texture behind, it became too, looked very bad. There weren't enough colors to keep the rich gradient of each of the different gems and the background. So this one is 8-bit texture. However, the 8-bit cells have only 32 colors, but so this is really has 32 color palette, but it uses the whole byte, so it's 8-bit. So initially I wrote something that was reading the byte and trying, I looked through the destination texture. This is the destination texture will have halved, and I just get half of the pixel. I don't do any averaging. I could have done some averaging of the 4 pixels because unfortunately these are not 16-bit textures. If I have 16-bit texture, I could do averaging. So I read, I jump every other pixel. So I read destination text width and height is half of the source, and for every pixel on the destination texture, I jump every 2 pixels and write from, and I had to do read write because if BBP said get the destination value, else if BBP is for now. I was doing this in the cafeteria on Sunday and I was like, oh my god, that's more involved than I thought because it depends on different bidders and I did only 8-bit and 4-bit now. And I have to fiddle with the bits, break the upper or lower 4 bits and connect them. And that's how with this thing I could automatically grab and generate everything I wanted and loop from load index 0 generate the half texture, load texture 1, then from load texture 1 load index 2, and that's how I generate the fast smaller automatically from those. It's pretty cool. And so it kinda works. You can run it on the 3DO. I have updated the code here. I'm gonna run it on Phoenix. I'm not gonna run it on. I haven't compared the previous version. Yeah, normal CPU multiplier, cell matters. Yeah, I need to later find the previous version or go to some old revision before I did these changes to test the thing. Why not have some nice background music? Now, is the loading working? Probably. Yeah, I think it does. It's so seamless that you don't. It's so seamless. Now, how does that improve? Get 18, 19. I need to see, but here I wanted with this that far away you don't have very high resolution cell, so that I reduce the cell overhead now. You can see from 1819, if I put ignore, yeah, it still loses. So this view, we have 21, 22. I don't know how much it lost before, I need to compare, but let me know. Let's go here. Let's make it ridiculous. 2, 4. Okay, now it's like that. The other consideration is the memory, but because I'm generating very small, like the memory is that. A memory at start is that, now it has been reduced. I don't think it changed much. Hey, now it's ridiculous. Now the loading is ridiculous. But also this whole thing of switching loads and texture on real time seems to be okay so far. It didn't, in the real video, it didn't kill the performance. Now let's see. Indeed now I'm getting the... Was I here? For a moment I got the 19, the 21. So 19. Hmm. Maybe it didn't improve a lot. I have to try on the real video, but it might still be good. It might improve. I have to improve things on the CPU. I'm gonna check. Now there was a place. This has a lot of things, a lot of far away. So much that the very far away should even have another load. Like a 4x4 or even some flat based. That gets 12. 13. But probably I'm burning into the CPU anyways now. So we got 19 there. The first one. What if I go crazy and sell, say, put some crazy value? Which will make everything using the first load, not using loading. So now that I think if I did it well, there is no loading. The faraway texture was regained. So maybe from this corner. Yeah, that drops to 18 from 19. So there is a bit of a gain. How about in this hole? Here, when I was looking up, 12, 11 maybe. And without cell bandwidth, goes to 13. There is a bit of a gain, but you know why? The other reason it doesn't show. Let's put that back. Let's make a final experiment. Let's open probably levels. Pass number. No, where was that? No, maybe. Yeah. We did it. Okay, we generate everything. But I'm gonna pass block text too. That means I will simplify a lot of code. I will not have to even do that. And I'm gonna directly go for the lowest common denominator. So it's again use the low resolution thingy. You don't need to do the checking, the load index, the changes. I loaded the load index too, so it will initialize the texture with the preambles and everything for that size. Everything is blocky. Yeah, I get, so it does matter. I get 20. 12, yeah. Here it's a CPU issue. And let's go crazy with it. Let's. Oh, I don't have the equivalent function. I thought I could do a dunk. Let's make a smaller even version and pass that one. But I will have to alter my function. I could do it fast. And maybe I will need a fourth one for those far away. Now, I have on the PC port, because I don't emulate the ARM assembly, I have the C versions, which are already passing the text shifts. They all use that, but the specialized ones, this one still pass the text shifts. This one is like, because I know that the sizes are like that, it helps me optimize them. Do not do unnecessary. I still do shifts, but without using an extra register. And I'm going to, for the lols, I'm going to there are many considerations. What if I didn't pass those four, but I passed a pointer? There are many things to think about it. Instead of the four, those are a lot. I'm gonna tell you my plan with this one. Oh, here, if we are to use the 4x4, you have this macro for the texture shifts, and let's go here, and I will tell you my plan for all this whole thing. I want to do it in a entirely different way, but anyway, I'll when it's time I will tell you, because this could be optimized in an entirely different way. There is something I don't. Actually, I think some pushing and popping, there are not as much as I thought, but still. The optimization of this is that the compiler wasn't, when I calculated all the cell structure values, it would do individual store word there. It would not collectively do a big STMIA with all of the stuff. That was one thing. And also, now I'm duplicating here. I could do some assembly macro that took care of all the cases. I don't know. The reason I'm hard coding is, of course, because I've talked about before. Because here I would do a move and a shift ASR IP, LSL IP, LSL. And I know now that there are extra cycles wasted if you do shift left, right, arithmetic, whatever, by a register. Those are extra cycles on the ARM on the 3DO, which I didn't know it initially, and I thought I wasn't expecting it to be extra. And you have to do that because these are variable. This is the text shifts. But I break into IP and LR because I have packed it in one byte I'm passing. I mean it's a word, but I don't know how I don't remember what I was doing, but anyway. Maybe later I'm breaking that. Ah, yeah, here, IP. With shift right 4 and then I packed it in one thing, like I did on the C side. Whatever. Is it better or not? I don't know. And I'm using that. And I will also calculate. You have some 20 minus SHR width, 20 minus 16 minus. I calculated them. But then I realized that if I know the size is 32 by 32, it's 20 minus 5 bits for 32. So I can plug directly the value. And here is 16 by 6, 20 minus 4 and so on. So here it's gonna be, for the 4 by 4, it's gonna be 20 minus 2. It's gonna be 18. And I know I was even talking on the Discord with other programmers, and they told me that a shift by direct number is gonna be better than a shift by a register. Even if a lot of other instructions usually take the same cycles, usually take similar cycles, but and this one, because I thought shifts are free, almost free and easy, I thought this would also be the same. But this one, it's really good. And we do a lot of shifts. This is irrelevant, the 16, I think. 16 minus 2. You know, this is the same as, in a way, as how you would do it on the sys side with all these shifts. How to get the screen point and map a shell. And the compiler would not, after it calculates stuff, and when it had to write it then back into the struct, here write it back, it would not prepare as do a whole STMIA to put everything with once, I don't know, 4 cycles or whatever, or 5 or whatever, for the next first write, and the next one is by 2 cycles. At least that's how it's on the 3D worm. Other system might be 4 cycles and 1 cycle for the every other, right? Let me see. That might be okay. Now, if this works, oh wait, I can go here and say, okay, I'm gonna make the 4x4, guys. And here I looked for the fourth. Yeah, you can say load indices something. Normally you would give 0, but I'm gonna give the last one just for my stupid test. Oh, damn it. Sorry guys, that was a bug I wasted again. I wasted my time for the obvious. It wasn't very obvious. I was in testing and it was that. And then I'm like that. I'm like, why is this? I forgot that and maybe that's not the best practice, but I had reason to do it like this now. I forgot that I externed it. I didn't want to make a getter. I didn't want at this point. Where is that shit now? I didn't want to do call a getter for every polygon every time just to get the I wanted to expose that because normally I say, oh, make a getter, don't extend this thing here. And of course there are other solutions I could do. There are all kinds of solutions. I can have a pointer here and make an initialization or getter that gets it and use it here. So I did this and I was like, oh, okay, let's make a new level of detail. Let's change this from 3 to 4 or text loads. And I wasn't doing it here. Here that goes 3 and it was like, oh, complaining. I'm like, what? I didn't change anything. I didn't change anything relevant. No, you had it here. And maybe I could keep it like this or no, I don't know. I don't know if that works. But now I moved it here. And I realized I have to edit the video and waste more of my time. Anyways, where I was now, I'm a bit angry when these things happen. This unexpected thing that you think it's gonna be a bug that I'm gonna fix it for, and I for half an hour I was searching for some reason because I was seeing the error message. I'm like, I did this change. It doesn't make sense. It absolutely doesn't make sense. I didn't change the type. I didn't have something with the header file. Now I'm so pissed off. It really it it froze the whole thing, the whole process of me making videos. I don't even know if I will put this capture. I'm gonna finish the video. I even have to connect it. Why did the audio change? It's loud. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, this is the new level of detail. The 4x4. I just wanted to test it. I could have not tested it. I could have said, okay, guys, that's it. But at the very last moment, I extended this to way more. I could have been posting the video right now. So what did I learn to Andy? Is this level of detail very excessive? I mean, is this, if I drop down and look far away, for the far away, is this gonna be excessive? For the very far away, maybe not. You get 13. Okay, guys, all this for nothing. And there were more things I wanted to say. So I'm gonna put this to 0. I'm gonna revert this. I'm stressing that. If I'm doing more checks here, I'm gonna write it in a different way. This is what I might call now. Let's put something. Maybe 80, 64, 80 maybe. Oh my god. You know, this is when you restart Phoenix. I'm gonna spend extra time to connect this video, maybe speed up this or cut. Yeah, yes. I think it's now I might for every quad I might be doing more checks there. It might slow down the process, and I'll tell you again. Okay, maybe those ones far away are 8x8. The more per polygon I'm doing all these checks, the more now. Okay, here's my thought. First of all, I'm calling for every from okay, that's for every cell that is if the cell is outside, I'm checking if the 4 points are outside. If I don't need to add this polygon to the list, I'm doing this sorting. I'm putting this to the zBucket lists. And if I decide it's on, then I will have to prepare the cell. Now, I will have to call this function, which even if I wrote it in assembly, I might even have it here. Yeah, I did all this effort to do things with STMIA, prepare things and do one right for me to still call a function that will store the registers, but only V1 to V3 and LR. Those are fewer. I thought I was doing it for more. Ah yeah, it's only for those ones, yeah. So I'm doing an extra call and store this. Yeah, I'm only storing the necessary and the SP, of course. Oh no, I'm storing it. Okay, I'm storing it into SP before register and push. Okay, that's not so bad at the end. I thought I was pushing and popping all register, but most of them are not needed. And I'm calling this per polygon, and normally I should write, whether it's in C or assembly, I should write a function that I don't call this. This is like map cell. Even with the 3D SDK, you could call a map cell for each individual poly to create it. I thought I could maybe win some time if I gave a list of cells and I iterate through every cell. So I would call the function once for a big list of cells. And also, since I'm storing this in different Z buckets, if I'm in a specific Z, I know for a list of cells that all of them belong in this Z. How far all of a lot of quads are in the distance. So I could call a function. I would not need to call a prepare cell code for each individual code many times, and also pass all these points. So my goal is to not do this here, but do this later. After this, to do it in a separate pass. But in order to do this, I have to change the data structure. Right now, this zBucket, this is like a linked list. We use the cell because the cell also has a next pointer that points to the next. So the zBucket, zBucket list, zBucket fair. Okay. I did a sophisticated thing at the time to sort things very fast also. Now where do I have that? Okay, you know what? I'm I'm tired and I want to finish with this one. Especially after wasting time. I somehow made the list with first and last, and this is the cell structure because that happens to have all the information of the cell, and it happens to have the next pointer to the next cell. So I would create this Z order list, and also in this way I ordered the cells. I'm not making any sense anymore, especially after my frustration. Oh, I don't have this here. Oh no, this is on engine main. Maybe if I stop it would be the best. It happened that the structure of the cell that you use the 3D with the next pointer also helps to do this Z bucket list. And if I change the structure, if that's my plan, I will have to change this Z bucket thing. I would have to not have a SSD but have some new structure. And this new structure will have to be. Now that's an extra direction. This is why I didn't learn. This should be. This could have CCB. The cell, and it will have to have a new structure next or something, whatever, if you get me. So that I put that there and connect. But my idea is that I could also store other information. because in order to prepare the cell I have to pass at least those, and I might need to pass, while preparing the cell I look through the poly data that are related. I could possibly store the polling data, and I need that to get the texture ID. Now the load index we don't need to pass it, because in a later loop if I go through every bucket on different Z levels, I can get that from there. I can say, okay, I'm rendering 50 polygons that are at that distance, the same distance, the sorting I do from back to front. So I will know on the spot that all these following 50 polygons are gonna have the same Z. So this one I will not need to do this one, or I will need to do it. I can also make some function pointer based on that. I can do other. I need to do it. At least I will not call something like this per code. I will call something like this and select between the three of them or four for 50 polygons in a row or something like that. So it's gonna be better. And there are more issues, there are more considerations. This is a collective Z sorting bucket where it's not only from this function. Later, when I render the weapon, when I will render entities, enemies and so on, I'm calling this one, and it's also using the same. But now those cells, they call the prepare cell code with the text. That is different. So I have slightly different work with the grid and that, and I would have to differentiate. I could put it in the, I could put that in the, I don't need to for every quad to check again, is it a grid or is it not? So I will have to do something else. So there are some considerations, because I think if I don't do this every polygon, both calling the function individual and deciding, is it this, is it that, prepare that stuff, but I collectively, that means I should not do this prepare cell here. That means I should have this new structure. I should save this whole zBucket so that I store, maybe I could store the screen elements or whatever. But there is some extra overhead where I will do it in a different path. I will temporarily store stuff in some new structure, and probably I will have some new array with these things. I will have some new structure. FCUK here equals tessera. I don't know. So there is this thing. I realized this loading and preparing of cell, I should have been doing it in batches, but I have to change a lot. And I'm already frustrated with the other thing. And yeah, I need to call it a day. And I think that here that I did, I felt that it was a bit slower. Because for all these cells, I waste on CPU processing for every individual quad, at least the ones that are on the screen though. That's the thing, it's not for every individual. The ones that are passing the checks, polygon order check, and if polygons are outside, it seems a bit weird the way I wrote it, but it's beautiful. I guess I'll have to do the video. I don't even know, I messed up my code. Oh, I was doing, where, okay, where I was? Ah, that's here, okay. How about the PC ports? Okay, no changes. I got these changes with the 4x4, the new thing. Yeah, that's even more overhead on the fly too. I could make some function pointer thing. Sure. But again, I'm gonna change the structure on this Z bucket sorting. I'm gonna do it in later in another pass collectively for a lot of cells in every Z level. Well, it is what it is. Commit the yeah. By the way, since I'm here, that's irrelevant. Before that, I was working, of course, on the thing I say. I might be visiting assembly party in Agus because we work something. But this is not it. This is not it. This is another thing. This is another thing I was working for. I came back to my interest again for some reason. And I'm trying to expand on my software renderer, but on a modern PC now. And I got some code from the 3DO my engine where I can also add multiple objects, and I put it here. Like, where is it? I don't have. Okay, I have different. And now I can have multiple objects. That's a software render I do on PC. I did a dialysis line. Flat shaded with colors. I want to make a more advanced one. Guru, the env map, and I have this which is a colored and a colored guru. So there is this env map texture, and also there is a light that hits from one side. And if you go here, I added a very complicated. So that's irrelevant with 3D. I just wanted to show you. And I did it so that if an object is outside of the skybox, now it's like 29 frames because it's very, by the time it goes there, it goes much faster. So I have some skybox checking if the skybox, bounding box, what am I saying? If the bounding box of an object is out, I can skip it. Because that's on its own is very, very complicated. Also, I look up and down. But I need to do, the movement is not correct, of course, the axis. And also, I tried also to do, okay, this is another thing where I'm trying to write some different renderer and for some reason in floating point instead of a fixed point. I'm getting some other things, so that's where I left it. So before working on 3DO, I started wishing to improve that engine, which used to be an object on the center of the screen. And now I got to do something bigger where I move around and even make a game on PC. That's irrelevant with the 3D. It goes like I've made a lot of engines in the past, software render engine, but I always never completed them. it was like toy engine, and I moved on another thing, and then I rewrote the engine. This is another rewrite, the Bugo engine. And that's it. I need to stop. I might need to edit a bit the video. And hopefully next time I can improve this loading, but I also want to do other things on. I think the other big thing I will try to do is to add the things data structure. Add some things that can be enemy, item, object, and I need to do this for this engine now. I need to start doing new things so that I have actual object. Maybe it's billboard bitmaps, maybe it's simple meshes inside the scene where I move around and they have position and other things, and like an entity, like a thing in Doom. But one part would be purely for the gameplay, and the other part will be the connected to a mesh or a bitmap for a billboard, or a mesh with a bitmap. And that's it, guys. Till next time. I don't know when I'll make. Maybe I won't do very frequently these kinds of videos, because I don't know if I will be able to do more work very soon. Bye.